Hey guys, so I finally have an iPhone, the 16 Pro, except it's not actually mine. My sister finally decided to upgrade and let me borrow it temporarily to do this video. It's been so long since I've used an iPhone, so it'll be interesting to see what the iPhone can do and how the photos compare to my current favorite camera and daily driver, the Pixel 9 Pro. So let's go. Starting with the main camera, the first thing I immediately notice is the iPhone 16 brightens the overall scene. You can see the difference in the green Android statue and the pinks of the lollipop and the ground. While the Pixel 9 may look a bit darker, it's much better exposed overall, keeping the colors more vibrant and less washed out. In this shot, there's a huge difference in the yellow tone on the iPhone. While there was some yellow in the sky from the sunset, the Pixel looks more accurate here, and it's definitely better exposed. Next, we can really see how well the Pixel 9 exposes a shot with a bright sun. On the iPhone, the grass is overexposed, the shadows are way too dark, and the orange colors are gone from the columns. The Pixel 9 just handles everything better here. Here's another sunny shot, but with the full sun. And the Pixel 9 just blows the iPhone away with better sharpness of the water and better exposed buildings in the background. Indoors, the iPhone brightens up the whites and removes some of that yellow tone from the lighting on this paper cat. But what really drags it down is the hard contrast on the blacks that just doesn't make the shot look as pleasing as the Pixel 9. So in this shot, I just want to hone in again on the difference in the whites and tones. The iPhone really likes to add more yellow depending on the overall yellowness of the scene, which is not very accurate since I know this porcelain colored Pixel 9 is more white and not supposed to be beige. Okay guys, here I was trying to get a close-up shot on this flower. I wanted some really nice background blur too. This triggered the macro mode on the iPhone, but I didn't get any background blur at all. When I turned macro mode off, I do get the background blur, but now some parts of the flower are not focused. Here, both did really well on the background blur, but I still think that the Pixel 9 edged out the iPhone with a smoother blur. Here is a good example of the depth of field on each main camera. The Pixel 9 Pro is just a bit wider at f1.68, giving a shallower depth of field and more background blur, versus the iPhone 16's at f1.78 with less background blur. Moving on to portrait shots, here my skin tone looks crazy different. On the Pixel 9, it looks like some filter is being applied because my skin looks super soft, while on the iPhone 16, I'm looking pretty rough with the harder contrast. While the Pixel 9 looks more pleasing, I would prefer something in the middle of these two shots. In this wider shot, the Pixel 9 has more depth of field, which is more of an ideal portrait shot I would expect. The iPhone 16 is barely giving any background separation. Plus, the colors look a bit washed out. Now let's take a look at some night shots. What's interesting here is the approach each camera takes on the lighting. The iPhone looks like it's reducing a lot of the yellow in the scene from the street lamps, and the neon lighting looks a bit less white than on the Pixel. I think both look good, so let's zoom in and see if there's any more differences. And it looks like it's just a difference in the yellows. Overall, I think the Pixel 9 Pro captures more of the mood by keeping the yellows. Next up is a great example of how much more light the Pixel 9 Pro is getting with its slightly wider aperture. And getting closer to this display, the extra light makes the colors on this heart pop. In this shot inside a restaurant, the iPhone just looks like it has a gray filter of some sort because the colors look so washed out. The skin tone, the red t-shirt, and the brick wall in the back just aren't vibrant at all. Now inside this tiki bar, both did well to expose the dimly lit room, but it's the Pixel 9 Pro with the edge again that brought in more light where we can see more of the lower left corner, plus a bit more vibrancy from the red and orange colors. In this shot, the most obvious difference is the color the neon sign is emitting. The iPhone has more of a blue and the Pixel with more of a green. I actually don't remember what the color was, but knowing how the iPhone likes to brighten photos with more white, I think I would trust the Pixel to capture more accurate colors. Okay, lastly, I'm focusing on just this lighted candle, and there was absolutely no other light around me. I remember taking this photo on the iPhone, and I thought there was something wrong because it was way too dark and it wasn't capturing anything like what I see on the Pixel. And this was without using any kind of night setting. Although the iPhone captured the true darkness in person, I'm just really impressed with what the Pixel was able to capture with barely any light. Okay, now let's look at ultra-wide. I think both shots look pretty great here, but if I'm gonna pick at something, it's the iPhone brightening the scene again, which makes some parts look too white, like the car and the street on the right. Here, both expose the scene very well, but the Pixel 9 has the edge here with better exposure in the dark areas like the dirt next to the bike and the leaves of the tree. The iPhone just looks a bit too contrasty with the blacks and makes the overall scene look a bit too dark. In this interior shot of a Waymo car, there's a big difference in the black levels here. The seats look gray on the Pixel 9 and black on the iPhone. The Pixel 9 is better exposed because you can still see the pedals on the driver's side, but I like the overall look on the iPhone with nice highlights on the accents. In this shot, the iPhone looks like it's taking the sun's reflection a bit better by not being too white. However, behind the glass structure that looks like a boat, it's looking a bit dark. On the Pixel, you can still see through the glass panels, whereas on the iPhone, it's darker and looks like frosted panels instead. This one is interesting. The iPhone looks like it was exposing for just the brightness of these lighted stairs and making the rest of the scene very dark, while the Pixel 9 exposed everything better here, including the lights under the stairs and the seating behind the stairs. In this shot with an overcast sky, I can appreciate more of the brightness that the iPhone has been adding since it makes the shot a bit more lively and I would say more ready to share. But on the Pixel 9 Pro, I can just bump up the exposure level to get it looking just as nice. Okay, now going into some night shots. The clear winner here is the Pixel 9 Pro that managed to expose pretty much everything at this dimly lit tiki bar, including some of the things I couldn't clearly see myself, like the second floor in the back and the counter on the left wall. Here is another clear win for the Pixel 9 Pro in this cityscape shot. The Pixel 9 Pro manages to capture the entire street lit up, including the red fire lane at the bottom and the lights atop the parking garage on the right, whereas the iPhone 16 Pro is just too dark to see any of this. If we use a night shot on both cameras, the iPhone 16 Pro does a lot better to match the previous exposure on the Pixel. But in terms of these shots, the Pixel 9 Pro clearly can pull in more light and be much sharper. Okay, now let's get into some zoom action. The iPhone 16 Pro has a 12 megapixel telephoto versus the Pixel 9 Pro's 48 megapixel beast, so I'm expecting the Pixel 9 to have much better quality. The Pixel 9 Pro immediately looks a lot sharper, but it's not until the max zoom that we can see that the Pixel 9 Pro captures a little bit more detail than the iPhone, like the highlights of the emblem and the color of the red roofs, but I would say the iPhone has a pretty comparable zoom here. Similarly for this Android statue, both do well here, but it's only towards the max zoom that we can really see the difference, and that the Pixel 9 is just able to show more detail. The next one is about the same. Once we get out of the optical zoom to digital zoom, the iPhone just starts to lose some of these smaller details and colors. Lastly, let's take a look at the selfie cameras. The iPhone 16 Pro has a 12 megapixel f1.9, while the Pixel 9 Pro has a 42 megapixel f2.2. I was expecting the iPhone to brighten up my face a little bit since brightness seems to be the main focus for the iPhone, but it's the Pixel that has my face better exposed here. Since the Pixel 9 Pro has a higher megapixel count, we should zoom in and see if there's a big difference in the level of detail. And the iPhone looks a bit softer, while the Pixel has a bit more detail showing the bumps on my skin. In this selfie shot indoors, there was not much of an alarming difference except that the iPhone did brighten up my face just slightly this time. Switching over to portrait mode on the front camera, it's the same brightness levels with the Pixel 9 Pro exposing my face better. Both have pretty decent background blur, but let's take a closer look and see how they did with edge detection. On the iPhone, I have a bunch of straggler hairs at the top of my head that the iPhone just left in, while on the Pixel, there was some post-processing to remove those stragglers and even out the edges. And one more portrait shot. My face is brightened up more on the Pixel this time, but the background blur is not as smooth. Checking the edge detection, it looks like the Pixel 9 Pro didn't do so well with the post-processing, as the right side of my face has something left over. The iPhone here keeps everything looking natural. Okay guys, as you know, I'm not an iPhone guy and I haven't used an iPhone since the iPhone 4. With the iPhone 16 Pro, I was expecting amazing quality and was afraid that I might even like the cameras more. But after seeing everything here, nothing really impressed me. I felt like the photos were pretty average. My main issue with the iPhone 16 Pro is that there's a lot of added brightness and heavy contrast, sometimes making shots look too washed out or too dark. The Pixel 9 Pro, in my opinion, just beats the hell out of the iPhone 16 Pro cameras with better exposure and, more importantly, the color accuracy. That's why I'm very happy to be using the Pixel 9 Pro as my daily driver, and I hope to see the Pixel phones continue to deliver the amazing camera quality. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.